by just giving up driving or by just not choosing to go with airlines or railways, one can save around 6 to 70% carbon footprint comparatively. So that's a huge, actually sustainable proposition, and our customers are asking for it.
Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. My guest today is Kai Boysan. Kai is the Chief Executive Officer of Flix North America, the parent company of two intercity bus brands, Flixbus and Greyhound, operating in the US and Canada. Flix North America also oversees Greyhound's operations in Mexico. Flix North America is a subsidiary of Flix SE, a global travel technology company based in Germany that operates intercity buses and trains in 44 countries across 4 continents. Flix's business model is based around its proprietary artificial intelligence-driven technology platform. The company works with local bus partners who are responsible for bus operations, and Flix takes care of network planning, sales, marketing, operations, management, and customer service. I look forward to hearing more about all the above through this conversation. Kai, welcome to Technovation. It's great to speak with you today.
Thank you.
Well, Kai, yours is a story of a global travel technology company identifying an opportunity in North America to bring innovation to a legacy industry and change the way in which long-distance bus travel experience happens. I'd love to talk a little bit about the insights that led to a major investment in the North American market and ultimately wooing you to enter a new marketplace personally as well.
Sure. Flix, when they found the company in 2013, the founders always had this idea of actually acquiring Greyhound at some point in the future. So, and the opportunity knocked on the door in 2021. And there were earlier attempts as well, multiple conversations. And when the opportunity knocked at the door, we leveraged that point because it was in the middle of a COVID and the industry was going through a difficult period. We just didn't know what the future holds for us. At that point, it was good value. And I would say that was a marriage made in heaven. I can talk to you about it as well. So we took that opportunity. And if you look at the North America intercity bus market, at the time, it was overlooked for years, if not for decades. And it was in need of transformation. And Flix is the right, actually, company, a global travel tech company, to make that transformation happen.
That's really interesting. And I appreciate you sharing those details. One of the things that's interesting is you purchased Greyhound, which is atypical for your partner model. Typically, you partner with an existing organization, and they are at arm's length. What was it about Greyhound that was worth the investment as opposed to a more traditional relationship that the company's made with many other operators around the world?
I mean, Greyhound is undoubtedly an American icon. I mean, it's an iconic brand, and it's well known not only in the US, but across the globe. So as the brand has a lot of value to it. In addition to that, Flix is very good in bringing bus networks together, merging them and upgrading the performance and bettering the experience for the customers. So buying such a big network in North America and together with the brand, like quite an attractive proposition for Flix to grow the business and to transform one of the biggest markets globally, the intercity bus market, I mean, here in North America. So that's why it was like a marriage made in heaven, and we jumped on the opportunity, and we made significant progress since then, obviously.
Very interesting. I can see why purchasing an icon like that would be so attractive. I mentioned at the outset that the organization's business model is based around its proprietary AI-driven technology platform. Oftentimes, the company works with local bus partners who are responsible for bus operations, and then Flix takes care of, as I noted, network planning, sales, marketing, operations management, and customer service. Can you talk a bit about the nature of that typical relationship and also the role that technology is playing to facilitate it?
Flix is actually leveraging two tools, the Flix tech stack that we have, technology, as you described, helping across each step of the value chain to make the right decisions. And in addition, we have the operating model in which we work with our bus partners to deliver the ultimate product. It's a clear division of responsibilities between us as Flix global tech company, as a platform, and our bus partners. Firstly, Flix is a sitting and generating enormous amount of data. So it's using lots of advanced data analytics, undoubtedly. And that's number one. We use that one. The second one is, as you defined, artificial intelligence driven decision making. It's ingrained in almost everything we do. We look at that. What is the output? And it's almost driven by that in many instances. And our technology is a flexible microservices architecture, so which helps us to scale and be flexible depending on the needs of each geography. Now, that is ultimately the platform. That platform talks and interacts with the bus partner on a regular basis at every step to make sure that we have the best bus scheduling available for our passengers. So we do efficient marketing. We optimize our pricing for revenue results, and we do great operations. So that's all coming together on the technology side, almost serving our bus partners eventually.
I'd love to dive into some of the details about how this is done in some of the areas that you've described. I know that, for example, for network planning, the goal is demand matching and optimized production. Can you talk a bit about the specifics of how that's done?
As you said, in network planning or bus scheduling, the goal is to match the demand. We're forecasting demand for more than 5,600 destinations. So that is a humongous task and a challenge as well. And it takes multiple iterations to forecast that demand. That's the first layer. And the next layer is finding the best routes and the schedules that will address that demand. That's the next layer. And on top of that, we put our supply. I mean, given what we can deliver with our bus partners, our bus capacity comes on top of that. That's an iterative process in which we go back and look at it. As we look at that three-step approach, iterative process, there's a fourth element, which is optimization for our bus network profitability. Obviously, we want to make sure that it's a profitable, actually commercially viable proposition for our bus partners as well as for us. So that is ultimately done through artificial intelligence processes and decision making. Once there's a stable product to a certain extent, then we add in the multi-interconnections, which increase the network density and which makes actually product more appealing, attractive to end users. So that's kind of in a nutshell, the layer by layer network planning steps.
Fascinating. From a marketing perspective, I know that you've shared that the goal is efficient traveler acquisition and higher customer lifetime value. Again, would love to talk a bit about the methods there in order to accomplish it.
Okay, over there, the goal is to increase the efficiency as much as possible. And for us, it's all about testing, retesting. So what we do is looking at a lot of data points, millions of data. I mean, but the fundamental focus is around, okay, how much I spend to acquire one individual customer, and what's the lifetime value of that customer to me? And is the amount I spent, is the optimal, or can I reduce it? Or if I increase a little bit, do I get a different set of customers? That is the ongoing testing and iteration, and never ending. Again, artificial intelligence comes into play here and gives us lots of actual direction. And also, we are pretty efficient on that side. And one of our really strong areas is marketing.
Really interesting. You mentioned earlier the pricing and the desire to optimize revenue management. Can you talk a bit more about the specifics of how that's done and how you think about different pricing models, again, with insights that are driven through technology?
Sure. On the pricing, we want to optimize revenue management, and the trigger over there is, I mean, on one side, we want to provide affordable travel, and that's really critical for us. We want to promote that and push that quite aggressively. And on one end, we want to make sure there's a utilization of buses is done to the right extent. And those two big levers coming together with the pricing point, how can we actually optimize the revenue management? So we are a strategic player. We want to grow the market aggressively. And for that purpose, we look at and iteratively, and we worked out at what point we can offer that amazing actually pricing point. Is it 2 weeks, 1 week, 10 days? And it's again an artificial intelligence, a self-learning machine in the background testing all these price points and decides what is the right and optimal actually level for us to optimize our revenues.
Now, from an operations perspective, you and I have spoken in the past about the desire to create a high quality travel experience. And I wonder if you could talk a bit about the evolution of that and your vision for how that improves.
We are making Flix travel top of mind for long haul journeys. I mean, so we are transforming the long haul ground transport. I mean, that's our mission, and we're delivering on that already. So it will take time for us to get that, but it will eventually happen for North America as well. Europe is a clear example of how it is done, how successful it can be, and how beneficial it is for us. So obviously we leverage our technology here and we leverage our operating model. But ultimately, Peter, the offer is we are making the customer experience better. I think that is the ultimate result. That's what we are working towards and delivering on. So that's what it is. And we're already seeing the traction. I mean, year after year, here in North America, we've seen significant growth in 23 and last year in 24.
It's fascinating to hear across those different areas, ways in which you think about progress being made. I'd love to understand a bit more about how you think about measuring that progress.
Obviously, we're looking at multiple metrics across the spectrum, but when it comes to specifically our customer satisfaction and how it's perceived, our number one measure is Net Promoter Score. So we want to make sure each and every Flix experience is a pleasant one. It doesn't matter if it's with Greyhound brand or Flix Plus brand, but it's a pleasant one. And therefore, their friends and family members come back. So it's absolutely the most important criterion that we're looking at, Net Promoter Score. In addition to that one, from a customer perspective, we know that on-time departure and on-time arrival are really two critical factors to make sure that they're happy. Because when we look at other sectors like airlines or railways, cancellations, delays, and that's not going well. And people are looking for alternatives, and we want to be one of those alternatives and considerations out there for those people who don't want that kind of. So dependability and that on-time performance is critical for us. And the last one is about delays. I mean, putting aside the extreme weather conditions, delays that we almost minimized made it to a negligible level. So those are the key KPIs we're looking at very closely and managing very tightly.
Kai, we've spoken a bit about customer experience and the areas that you're focused on to improve it. I'd love to talk a bit more about customer-facing technology that you're leveraging in order to bring life to that. Can you talk a bit more about the solutions that you're using and developing, for that matter?
Sure. I mean, this is something we prioritize and invest heavily in customer experience. Just to give you an idea, it's been a neglected sector, and there wasn't a well-developed apps years ago. But with Flix coming on board, we developed state-of-the-art app. And with the merger of Greyhound and Flix, what we have witnessed, anybody can actually right now book a ride on a Flix app and a Greyhound app. It's effectively the same app. And what we've seen is increased conversion 10%. So unit economics increased, the ease of booking massively changed, and which helped us increase the percentage of people actually buying tickets increased around 10% since the merger with Greyhound and Flix. What we also do on a regular basis with the customer facing, we communicate with our customers at every step of their journey. Right from the beginning, when they start search, we provide them the maximum number of options. And when they buy their tickets, we start communicating to them what they need, what they can do, what they need to do. And once they're on the bus, we communicate with them even before the bus. If there's a delay, we'll let them know. After they're on the bus, we'll let them know when we're going to arrive. And after they get off and go to their actual destination, ultimately, we ask them, how did it go? Tell us how we can improve our services further. This is the whole customer journey and experience is absolutely critical for us. And we make sure that we continue to up our game here and make sure customers are happier in each and every experience they have with Flix.
Well, Kai, you took on your current role in 2022. You came from Flix Turkey, where you were the chief executive officer. As you think about the Turkish market or other European markets, or even other global markets that the company serves, What are some of the similarities and some of the differences you found in your role in North America? Would be fascinated in your insights about this marketplace versus others that you're experienced in.
I mean, there are a lot of similarities between like European markets as well as the Turkish market and North American markets. And also North America has its unique, actually, positions as well. So to say a few, this market has been actually well developed, a sophisticated market, highly competitive here in North America. It's similar to the market that I experienced in Turkey, very competitive, highly sophisticated, well developed, 100 decades of kind of the competition and the market existence. I mean, that's similar. I would say in Turkey, there's one element. For example, each city has a bus terminal, and those bus terminals are actually by law had to be actually operated by the municipality. So it was, and in a similar fashion, if you go to European markets, you see similar actually set up in which there's an infrastructure already available. Here in North America, that's not necessarily the case. It changes from one state to another, one state to another, but it's moving in the right direction. That's one difference. And another element I just want to say in terms of working in two different markets, what I've seen, or multiple markets, the speed of change is extraordinary here in North America. Once we have an agreement as to how we're going to make it happen and deliver change, the results come through much faster than I've ever seen in my life. So the speed of change, and once everybody is on board, we deliver great results. I've witnessed that, especially with the merger of Greyhound and Flix here in North America. Once there was an agreement, as we moved forward, great, fantastic results we delivered.
You started to talk about some of the differentiating factors with airlines and with rail as two other means of conveyance. Obviously, each of the countries in North America are massive countries with vast distances, very different from many at least other countries in which you operate. You've started to talk about part of the not so great track record that airlines and rail have in terms of being on time, both departures and arrivals, which at the end of the day, obviously is a very key metric that any customer would be gauging. Are there other points of differentiation that you would highlight either operationally or otherwise that would be visible to customers between your service and those other services?
Of course, yeah, I'd like to highlight some other differentiations. I mean, we talked about dependability, which is living on time and arriving on time. That's number one. The other one we talked about, ease of travel or hassle-free travel. So that's something we offer as well. In addition to those two, we go to around 1,600 destinations. So that is much more than combined railways and airlines together. So one can actually hop on a bus and go to his or her ultimate destination. So that's another asset we have in the intercity bus with Flix. The fourth dimension, I'll say, is about sustainability. So carbon footprint, by just giving up driving or by just not choosing to go with airlines or railways, one can save around 60 to 70% carbon footprint comparatively. So that's a huge, actually sustainable proposition, and our customers are asking for it. And the last one, obviously, budget matters. We are an affordable alternative, a competitive alternative to railways and airlines, and way actually inexpensive than they are at present. So all combined together, we are a clear competition to them, and we are already in the process of becoming one of the top considerations for anybody thinking about long distance travel.
I'd love to hear more about when you partner with bus companies, how that integration works. How does your technology work such that it can be as seamless as possible, integrating into an operation in order to improve it as quickly as possible?
Sure. I mean, with the bus partners, the model works for both parties really well. I mean, in a nutshell, we manage the demand, we bring the revenues, so they don't need to have our earnings. We bring growth to them. So there's kind of a predictability of financial performance on the top line for them. So with that predictability and stability, what they do is they invest into buses, they recruit drivers, and they maintain the buses quite well. So that's the division of labor. The way we integrate them to the technology, I mean, there's a special, for example, driver app for every bus driver. We actually communicate with each and every driver at every step of that journey directly through the app, and they can use that. Not only that, all bus partners have full access to the data points that's going to be relevant to them for each bus schedule they run, for each route they deliver. So they are actually quite an interactive process in which we let them know this is time to departures, this is time for arrival, and what happens in case of, there are many different cases and scenarios in which they can actually get the information digitally, not necessarily through any interaction. So it smoothens the interactions, and it actually makes it a better customer journey for anybody on board on that bus. But it doesn't stop there either. So what we also do, we give them the opportunity to optimize their fleet usage. So they've got a certain number of buses, obviously, and utilization is critical for their profitability perspective. And we want to make sure that we give the data set and the tools so that they can actually optimize their fleet, usage of their fleet, and also driver time as well. We want to make sure that drivers are compliant with all the regulations, and they can actually use the data points that we provide to make sure that they deliver on that front. So overall, it's a win-win. We deliver the growth, we deliver the top line and predictability, and they deliver safe and top-notch quality bus operations.
You noted that you operate in 44 different countries. I wonder how much of what you do is standardized across those geographies versus aspects that are specific to one geography versus another.
That's a very good question. So I would say we are using one platform ultimately, and therefore it's fairly standardized when it comes to elements of the value chain. If you look at it from bus scheduling to marketing to pricing to operations, fairly actually standard. Having said that, I must underline each market is different as well. So it doesn't stop there. So we can't just one size fits all. It doesn't work out that way. What happens is we need to change a little bit, add a little bit extra. And that's why we're using a flexible model, microservices architecture. I think that flexible microservice architecture help us provide a high level of flexibility depending on the market. Obviously, India, one of our new kind of geographies, is going to be different than Turkey and North America and Chile. And obviously we need to do some changes to the platform and our offering so that we can compete well and achieve great results. So that's what's happening. But our architecture is sophisticated enough and scalable enough to enable that Twix. Although it's one platform, I believe it's similar in a few other global, actually, successful companies that flexible microservices architecture is in place. So I must also underline, Flix uses tech in a sophisticated way and a scalable way, and we are the only intercity bus company using technology in this way.
Thanks for that overview as well, Kai. Talk a bit about the team that you lead. There must be a variety of roles that you have, tech-centric roles and beyond. Talk a bit about that team that you have assembled.
My team is quite diverse, as you described, and spans from typical functions such as human resources, finance, and legal, all the way to our commercial side, where we call it revenue management, which covers pricing as well as marketing, into network planning, which covers quite a kind of use case, and it goes further down. Obviously, Greyhound team also reports directly to me, Chief Operating Officer of Greyhound, but that's the bus part. Now, maybe I should step back and talk a little bit about how we are structured here in North America. Flix North America, as we defined right at the start, is the mother company here in North America, and there are two big brands underneath that. One is Greyhound and the other is Flix. So there are blue and green buses on the road, and they're all part of Flix North America. It's one big bus network. Greyhound is a bus partner for us. So it almost exclusively focusing on bus operations, making sure buses are on time, drivers are delivering great service, it's safely from A to B. That's what Greyhound does. On the FlixBus side is we work with our more than 50 bus partners to make sure that they deliver exactly the same, what I described, the safe, reliable, comfortable, quality bus operations. And I work with the FlixBus team to make sure that we work well with our bus partners. I work with the Greyhound team to make sure that, again, our bus operations are not top-notch. Our net promoter score is amazing. And in addition to that one, we have technology teams as well as commercial teams and the support teams. And if I look at the technology teams are spread across multiple geographies for Flix. Of course, we have a big HQ-based tech team, and overall, there are 450 engineers and programmers working on the AI-driven technology, which is ingrained in our everyday decision-making. And a portion of that team is based in North America and focusing on North America-specific applications, systems, and infrastructure to making sure that it's all ticking like a clock to make sure that we deliver great products so that our passengers are happy. So it's a big team covering huge functional areas, but working completely like a big orchestra completely in synchronization.
How often do you travel on one of your buses, either on FlixBus or Greyhound?
Almost every occasion I go to maintenance garage, I'm on a bus. So interestingly, Peter, when I was a little boy, my father was in charge of the biggest maintenance garage in Turkey. So I grew up together with the mechanics and the drivers and looking at the mechanic shop. So when I travel around North America, I feel really comfortable meeting with our bus partners as well as going to the Greyhound garages. But in the meantime, I'm an engineer by background. I love programming. So I sometimes sit down with our tech teams and ask them specifically the algorithms. So I do both, and I really enjoy both of them.
Fantastic. Well, Kai Boysan, thank you so much for a fantastic conversation describing your journey at Flix generally, and more specifically as Chief Executive Officer of Flix North America. Fascinating to get your insights about the future of bus travel, the role that technology is playing in making that a better experience for your customers, your vision, and some of the nuances of the North American market as well. It's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.